1. I just started a serving job. Please picture a woman in red pigtails, glitter eyeliner, does the work of the employees that are too lazy, works with a disease that when flared up seems like I'm giving birth. I worked after I totaled the car, broken toe and ankle, should be dead. I worked my ass off, in other words. I work all the time. No lunch breaks or 10-minute breaks, even though I work a minimum of 7 hours with a smile on my face. When I worked, my dad was having open-heart surgery 3,000 miles away. We get this customer every Thursday who insists we call her Ms. Ruby. We are a somewhat high-end restaurant. She is older and demands she get her sweet tea free and orders 2 glasses of red wine before she sits. This woman used to have a lot of money. Her daughter, whom she says she hates, shows up late, so we hold on her special order till the daughter arrives. I'm new and have heard horror stories. I served her for the first time. I saw her wine was empty and asked if she wanted another. "How dare you ask? I'm not an alcoholic." "My daughter is, but I'm not. Stop checking on me." "Ms. Ruby, I don't know your life. If you want 2 glasses before she is here, that is up to you. Now, I'm a former stand-up and use sarcasm to diffuse things." She said this in front of her daughter. "When I'm good and ready, I will summon you. Summon me." I then did an over-exaggerated bow and begged for forgiveness that she had to deal with a peasant. She wasn't offended, but more had the attitude of, "Damn right you will." Her daughter laughed as Ruby shooed me away. They sat there for 4 hours and I did everything right. They went on and on about my service, then left me a $1 tip. All I wanted to say was how brave she was to fuck with people that handle her food. I held my tongue till it bled, which I'm told biting your tongue is actually the first blood of a woman. I don't piss off my doctor before he puts me under, or assess a hairdresser, cuts and colors. Moral of this story, in the States, we are paid $2 an hour and rely on tips. I'm also an actress and stand-up, and tempted the next time I serve her to say, "I'm sorry, my head isn't in the game. I moved here because my house burned down and had to leave my sickly father, the one who had open-heart surgery, back in Cali while I moved to the south." But I know she won't care. People are monsters. She wasn't even the worst I've ever had. 2. Had an interview yesterday for a bartending and server position at a nice pub in an affluent neighborhood. The restaurant is beautiful, with high ceilings, chandeliers, fireplace, hardwood bar, large whiskey section, craft cocktails, and comfort food. It is well rated on Google and Yelp. A few things I found odd during the interview. When I arrived early at the scheduled time of the interview, I had to wait because the interviewer told me he had to print out an application for me. I waited 20 minutes. Shouldn't a place that is posted on Craigslist and culinary agents and a scheduled interview have applications ready? While I was waiting for the applications to get printed, a server greeted me with water. I explained to her that I was here for an interview and not dining in. She asked what position. I said bartender. She got a look and said, "Oh good, we need bartenders." Shouldn't it be easy to staff a bartender at a place with $15 craft cocktails? Like, people should be lining up for this job. On to the interview. I ask about the history of the restaurant. He tells me about the owners and says, "They're very blunt people. If they don't like something, they will tell you. Some people cry, but you need to realize it's not personal, and it's better they just get it out." Alright, so what I'm hearing is they verbally abuse their employees. Got it. Also says new hires are complaining about not making any money, but he explains when you're new, you will not be getting good shifts, and you have to prove you deserve it. Kinda understandable. But I mean, how long would the waiting process be? He also told me they have servers who have been there for 10 to 15 years. No way those people are giving up their good shifts, ever. I asked about how we got paid. He said in cash. I told him I was surprised, since it's been 5+ years that I've had a restaurant job paying cash day of. He proudly states that's how they do it and they'll never change. He says guests will ask to use Apple Pay, and he again proudly states that is something they will never do. So what I'm hearing here is they don't change with the times. My biggest gripe is I asked if they offer health insurance, and he didn't know. He said that pre-pandemic he knew that some employees had insurance, and the ones who had it then still have it now. So what this tells me is either they stopped offering insurance after the pandemic, or they haven't been able to retain any employees long enough to qualify for health insurance. Also, how do you not know? Isn't that a very common question prospective employees ask? Interviewer also seemed to be a bit of the no one wants to work anymore mindset. Unprompted, he went on a tangent about how on Facebook the job postings will get comments like, "Why didn't I get a call?" and how people assume an application means an interview. He doesn't want candidates with 4 jobs in 2 years. I agree to an extent, but if you're desperate for people, you take what you can get. I haven't heard back yet. I'm just sad because I've been applying everywhere since summer, and this is the first in-person interview I've had. I have 15 plus years in the industry and an associate's. 3. This was years ago. I was 22 at the time, 45 now. I was working security at a campsite out of town, as in so far out of town I lived on site. Most of the time I was on night patrol of the whole site in a van, but some weeks I got assigned to the club security team. I'm 6'11" to 7 feet-ish, if they thought the nightclubs were going to be busier than normal. Easter bank holiday weekend we were full. Every place on the site that could hold a caravan or mobile home or tent was filled, as were all our own units. I got assigned to the main door for entry, then to report to the family club first, as that was going to be the most busy early on. So me and another security guard were at doors checking passes to make sure people were actually supposed to be there. Non-campers could come in but had to pay for a ticket at a different queue. I was greeting all the folks coming in a polite, friendly manner, not told to, just thought I'd be as professional and courteous as I could. These folks were paying between £75 to £125 per night, after all. Whereas all the other security guards at other doors were basically acting like border guards, trying to set out early how tough they were. Moving on. During the night, I was doing my usual sweep around the room, making sure people were not blocking the fire doors, etc., when someone asked if I could call the manager over. So I used my radio, and the bar manager, Jason, came over. He asked what was up, and this bloke, one of the higher-end clients, paying to whack for Best Chalet, said he wanted me to sit down and have a drink with his family. The manager said it was kind, but as I was on duty, it was not allowed. However, it was okay to leave some money at the bar for me to get a soda during my shift if I needed one. Customer agrees that's fair, but wanted the boss to know he thought I was the only person in the entire team that night, acting professional towards the customers. None of the bar staff, etc. were. They often would ignore customers to watch the stage acts themselves, and the other guards were too busy trying to look intimidating. I got on with my shift, thinking nothing of it, until we had closed down for the night and the management called all of my duty staff into the main club room and proceeded to say how they had on the busiest night they'd been through for months and had more complaints than normal about everybody's behavior, but that me, by being polite and professional, had been praised by some bigger customers. He then said that, as ever, whatever tips we got as usual we could keep or use for the after-work lock-in, and to group and get our tips. The bar staff went and got theirs, some moaning because their tips were only like £20 to £30 after 8 hours. Long before minimum wage, so most people were on like £4 but paid 10% of their wage as rent for living on site. As a security guard with bonus, duties having to do with caution Agent S accreditations from college courses, I was on $5.50, so I went over to the bar to get a beer before going back to my caravan, only to be handed a roll of notes. I unwound it, confused, and saw it was about £300. I asked my boss what goes on, security guards don't get tips. I got told this family that was spending over £1,000 per night because of the amount of them. I put that in for me for being a nice worker. I sort of stood there dumbfounded while everyone else looked at me. Snapped out of it and bought everyone a drink. Cost me about £70. Put the rest in my safe in the security office the following day. We kept all our gear in our own secure locked safes. Some of the staff were mad I didn't blow the lot. especially when an AVG. After that, I got £45 per night in tips, and I normally only had one drink after a shift. I did tell them that I was paying off a car loan, so any extra money would get put in the bank and paid off the car quicker. I loved that job. It was a shame when we all got laid off when the nightclub roof collapsed. 4. I need your thoughts, opinions, or some words of reassurance to ease my thoughts. I'm a barista at a small family-owned cafe and bakery, but we have a full breakfast and lunch menu. We just opened in September, so as you can imagine, things have been rough some days. On Sunday, we ran out of so many things. We had a busy week and just weren't prepared for the rush we had. We open at 11 on Sundays. We were completely out of bread by 12:30. Therefore, the only thing we had left were salads, pastries, and obviously coffee. But even that was frustrating. I left at 1 p.m. because I wanted Halloween evening to myself, and when I left, we had 1 jug of whole milk left. Anyways, around 12:45, the line starts to slow down, and we're trying to accommodate people as best we can with what we have left. Well, one older man comes up to the register, which is about 3 feet away from the espresso machine, tries to order one of our specialty toasts. My coworker begins to say, "I'm so sorry, but we ran out of bread. We do have..." Before the guy cuts her off and starts yelling at both of us, saying how we let everyone else get bread, but now he can't. Sorry, you were last in line, I guess. How we're incompetent, while pointing his finger at us both, and how our business will never last. The guy stood there for almost 2 minutes yelling and berating us, and since our manager was nowhere to be found, we just had to sit there and take it. The dude finally turns and starts leaving, and our manager comes up to us and asked what happened. We told him, but after he left, me and my coworker both had this look on our faces, like, wow, thanks for helping us deal with this dude. Come in today, and I asked our other manager if he told her what happened on Sunday. She said no, so I told her about the guy who went off on me and my coworker about having no bread. I wasn't planning on telling her that her manager wasn't there to help. But then she followed with, "Where was Emilio when this was happening?" So I told her the truth. That I wasn't entirely sure, but he came over as soon as the guy was leaving. "That's not okay. I'm going to talk to him." She then went to go talk to the head chef and baker and ask her about it, to which I overheard her saying she didn't hear any of that. So now I'm nervous because I don't want my manager to think I'm lying or anything, just to get other manager in trouble. As I've brought up a few things before that he's done that have set me back and upset me. I do like the managers, but it's just that one guy who sometimes isn't doing things that he should be doing, and vice versa. So my question is, do you think I was right in telling my other manager about what happened? Or should I have just kept quiet? I'm scared this will affect my job. And for the first time in years, I actually really like this job, the environment, and the staff. I'm just really anxious now, though I know I have no reason to be, as all I did was tell the truth, and only told her about where the other manager was once asked. Thoughts and opinions are greatly appreciated. Thank you for listening. 5. I work in a pizza shop that operates mostly as a coffee and sandwich shop in the mornings and afternoon, with a focus on pizza in the evenings. It's trying to be too many things, but whatever. I just needed a job, and it's not my business. I live in a very small town, and I'd say about 95% of our clientele are locals and regulars. I generally recognize everyone who comes through our door. We occasionally get outsiders when there's a high school sporting event bringing in neighboring towns, or in Saturday's case, an arts and crafts expo at the Community Events Center. The setup of this restaurant is pretty straightforward in my opinion. When you walk in, you're met with a long counter with a huge blackboard menu behind it, and someone standing at the register. If you have any common sense, you'd quickly realize you order at the counter and pay, and will happily bring your food and drinks out to you at a table of your choosing, if you're planning on dining in, which I tell everyone. We'll even go and check on you during your meal, bring you extra sides and to-go boxes, etc. We do not have any physical menus, nor the staff to properly execute actual table service, though. We were swamped on Saturday morning with just 3 of us working. Most of the people coming in were people I've never seen before, in town for the expo, and they quickly picked up on the fact that we offer counter service, and all was well. Until locals started coming in. They see the full dining room and sit at an empty, dirty table. I am bussing a table near them and asked, "Are you waiting on a friend?" Only to be met with their mouths wide open, aghast.
"No, we're waiting to be served."
So I said, "You come up to the counter for that." Admittedly, in a slightly confused and mildly annoyed tone, they begrudgingly got up and met me at the counter. I have served these folks numerous times from behind the counter. They know how this works. But suddenly, now that the restaurant is full of unfamiliar faces, they think we've switched to table service. Or perhaps are that entitled that they think because I know them in a sea of people I don't know, that I'm going to offer them special treatment. I don't know the psychology going on in their head, but absolutely not. You're all the same to me, man. Steps I have to take to get out of there on time, another number, like I really don't care who you are. You're all getting the same level of service. I have lived and worked in a restaurant in a small town before, and I've seen this happen time and again. Regulars and locals coming in during a busy time and expecting us to treat them differently because we know them. What fucking world do these people live in where things work like that? It's completely absurd to me. Oh, and they complained that the table they sat at was dirty, but we all know how that goes. My family owned a restaurant for 20+ years, and folks would always name-drop my father to me like, "I know the chef. Tell him it's Kevin Sodonso, and he'll know." And little did they know I was the primary chef, and there was no chance in hell my father remembered who they were, because he talked to so many people on a daily basis. This even went as far as a particular family coming in a few times a year, straight up acting like they knew my entire family and giving us gifts. They knew us all by name, but none of us could tell you who the fuck they were. My sisters worked in the front of house, and as my father got older, he spent more time up front than in back. Usually could find him in his favorite seat bullshitting with customers. Because I was always running the back, a lot of folks wouldn't click it together that I was part of the family and only recognized my sisters. I'd come up front occasionally, though, to hand off a to-go order, or if nothing pressing was going on. I'd take an order, and people would be like, "I've known Frank for many years. I like truffle eggs sprinkled with edible gold served to me by a dancing monkey." Or faster seating, whatever outlandish entitled request, and I'd get to smile at them and say, "Yeah, well, he's my dad." Usually got them to backtrack real quick. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 156. I know I might not say it often, but you know, I really do love you guys. I've been thinking about y'all recently, and I know you've been thinking about me, and I've been thinking about you, thinking about me, and then I started thinking about you, thinking about me, thinking about you, and it got very confusing, but what it all boils down to is we're people. And people who need people are, well, gosh darn, ain't they just the luckiest people in the world? I don't really have a point with this outro. I just started talking, and this is where my mouth took me. It's an adventure every time, really. It's quiet now. Can you hear that? Neither can I, because it's quiet. The silly people outside with their fireworks going bang, bang, bang. They've hushed up for now because it's 7 in the morning. And even the boldest pyromaniac isn't going to let off fireworks at 7 in the morning. And so for now, peace reigns over this sleepy little town of Hellfreezerville. Just for a little while. That is, of course, until some wanker decides it's a good day to go mow the lawn. Or to just start digging a hole. No reason for it, just hole. Yep. Maybe they got a new toy, a new hammer, and they got to test it out, so they just go bang, bang, bang. And that's okay. Because I have drills. And I have a lot of hammers too. And I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. Probably this life. I mean, really, I do need to hang these panels I got for my acoustic treatment. But a lot of hammering and drilling then. Anyway, with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time. Thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.